The garden was unnaturally quiet for a mansion that never truly slept. Soft yellow lights hung from the tall iron lamps, casting long shadows over trimmed hedges and marble pathways. Somewhere inside the mansion, clocks ticked, guards walked their rounds, and a man waited unknowing, trusting, hopelessly in love. But Wyan was not inside. He sat on the gold stone bench near the fountain, phone pressed to her ear, her fingers taking into the fabric of her dress, as if holding herself together required physical effort. The water trickled behind her, steady and truly calm, mocking the storm in her chest. It was 10 p.m. She was supposed to be beside Heesung by now, supposed to be in his room, arguing softly about nothing important, pretending she didn't memorize the lines of his face when he was not looking. Instead, she was here. Wyan. Her mother's voice crackled through the phone, sharp and exhausted. You have waited 2 years of this. 2 years. You are finally there. Wyan closed her eyes. 2 years ago, she had promised herself she would not hesitate. 2 years ago, hatred had tested easier than love. He ruined us, her mother continued, bitterness seeping through every word. His father destroyed your father, or family. You were sent there for one reason. Ryan's throat tightened. I know, she whispered. The plan has been simple. Get close, gain trust, and him quietly. Poison, a bullet if needed. And even now, she knew it with horrifying certainty. If she poisoned him, Hasan would not say a word. Not because he would know, because he loved her that much. Tears burned her eyes. Mom, her voice broke. I can't. There was silence on the other end. I can't kill him, Ryan said, the words spilling out like a confession she had been holding inside her lungs for months. I can't tell him I was sent to destroy him. I can't tell him I deceived him. I can't. Her hand flew to her stomach instinctively. I can't tell him I am carrying his child. Her mother inhaled sharply. What did you say? Ryan turned her face away, staring at the dark rose bushes. Her tears slipped free now, trailing silently down her cheeks. I didn't tell anyone, she continued, voice trembling. Not you, not him, no one. I thought maybe if I didn't say it out loud, it would not be real. Her mother's voice softened, but only slightly. Then finish what you started. For your father, for us. Vian shook her head. Separately, even though her mother could not see it. I can kill myself, she whispered, but I can't kill him. Behind the hedges, unseen, Isang stopped breathing. He had followed her the moment he noticed her absence, not out of suspicion, out of instinct, the kind born when someone becomes your whole world without asking permission. He stood there now, hidden by shadow, every word curving itself to his chest. 2 years. A planned meeting at an orphanage. Revenge. A child. His jaw clenched as memories rearranged themselves violently in his mind. The way she had looked at him that first day. The way she sometimes flinched when guns were mentioned. The way she cried in her sleep. So it was true. His father had destroyed her family, and she had been sent to destroy him. His hands trembled as he reached for the gun, hidden beneath the stone bench nearby. One of the guards' weapons left temporarily during patrol. His fingers wrapped around the cold metal. He could end it, and the pain and the betrayal. But then he heard her again. I love him, Mom. Ryan sobbed. I didn't mean to. It just happened. And now it's too late. He shut his eyes. It was never his fault. A part of him screamed he didn't choose his father's sins. But love was not logical. Love didn't care about justice. Silently, he raised his hand and gave a sharp signal to the guard stationed at the far end of the garden. Leave. The man hesitated, then obeyed. Ethan stepped forward. The gravel crushed beneath his shoes. Vian froze. She turned slowly, her breath catching painfully in her throat. He, her phone slipped from her fingers and hit the ground with a hollow sound. Time stopped. Her tears held mid-fall as if even they were afraid. Ethan stood before her, face eerily calm, eyes dark and unreadable. He held the gun out to her, grip loose, deliberate. Take it, he said quietly. Her hands shook as she reached out, fingers brushing his. Shoot me, he continued. voice steady despite war inside him, in the head or anywhere you want. She stared at him, horrified. He sunk I and then leave, he said. I will forgive you, Wyan. The words shattered her. Her knees felt weak as the gun weighed heavily in her palms. He stepped closer until there was barely any space between them. Gently, achingly, he placed his hands over hers and guided the barrel upward to his head. Do it, he whispered. His thumb hovered near the trigger. Her breathing came out in a broken gasp, and then she moved. At the last second, Wyan twisted the gun. The sound of the gunshot ripped through the garden. Blood bloomed across HEESEUNG's shoulder. He didn't scream. He barely reacted. The pain was nothing compared to the look on her face. He staggered back slightly, his body registering the injury distantly. What hurt, what truly destroyed him, was the way she collapsed. Wyan's knees buckled as she dropped to the ground, sobbing violently, the gun slipping from her grasp. I can't, she cried. I can't, I can't, I can't. HEESEUNG fell to his knees in front of her despite the blood soaking his shirt. He cupped her face with shaking hands, wiping her tears as if that alone could fix everything. Why are you like this? She sobbed, gripping his sleeves. Why would you forgive me? Why would you let me? He didn't answer. He never had an answer. Love had ruined him long before she ever could. HEESEUNG let her drag him. He didn't know when she had stood up or how she had gathered the strength to pull him to his feet. But suddenly her small hands were clutching his blood-soaked shirt, her body trembling as she half carried, half guided him back toward the mansion. If she had taken him to hell, he would have followed. The garden disappeared behind him, swallowed by iron gates and shadows. But the echo of that gunshot followed him inside his chest. His shoulder burned now, the pain finally traveling its way through his numbness. But he didn't slow her down. Wyan didn't look at him once. Her jaw was clenched so tightly he thought it might shatter. Tears still streaked her cheeks, but she didn't wipe them away. She didn't apologize. She didn't explain, she just kept moving. The bedroom door slammed shut behind them. The room smelled like him. Clean sheets, faint smoke, the familiar warmth that had once felt like safety to her. Now it felt like a crime scene, like a confession, waiting to be dragged out into the light. Sit, she whispered hoarsely, pushing him toward the bed. He obeyed. He always did. She turned away for a second, pressing her palms to the dresser as if grounding herself. Her shoulders shook once, twice. Then she inhaled deeply and turned back, eyes hard with determination. That terrified him more than her tears ever could. Take it off, she said, gesturing to his shirt. Heesung hesitated. Wyan, please, she cut in, voice breaking, just enough to remind him he was still human. Let me fix what I did. Slowly, he unbuttoned the shirt. The fabric peeled away from his skin, soaked red at the shoulder. When she saw the wound up close, a choked sound escaped her throat. He turned abruptly and rummaged through the drawer, hands frantic as she pulled out medical supplies. Gauze, antiseptic, bandages. She knelt in front of him, movements precise despite her shaking fingers. He watched her quietly. She didn't look up as she began cleaning the wound, her touch gentle to the point of reverence, like she was afraid even pressure might break him. I met you at the orphanage on purpose, he said suddenly. His breath stuttered. I knew you volunteered there, she continued, voice flat but trembling underneath. I knew your schedule. I knew which days you came alone. She dabbed antiseptic onto the wound. He flinched slightly. I was stalking you, she admitted. For months, watching, learning, waiting. He swallowed. It took me a year, she whispered, tears dripping onto his skin. Now, a whole year to realize that I could put a bullet in my own head without blinking. But that thought of killing you made me sick. Her hands paused. I hated myself for that. He so finally spoke, his voice low, and the rest of the time he laughed bitterly. I fell in love with you. The words hung heavy between them. I felt it. She said, every smile, every touch, every time you held me hand like I was something precious. I told myself it was manipulative, that you were just a target. She wrapped the words carefully around his shoulder. But then she whispered, I started praying you did hate me one day, because loving you felt like betrayal. His chest tightened painfully. She tied the bandage and finally looked up. Her eyes met his. I am pregnant. The world stopped. Heesung's lips parted, but no sound came out. I found out weeks ago, she continued softly. I thought maybe fate was cruel enough to punish me for everything. Her hand trembled as she placed it over her stomach. But now, her voice cracked. Now, when we are going to have a baby. Now, when I love you too. Much to imagine breathing without you. I can't end this. I can't end you. Tears slid down her face freely now. I am so scared, she confessed. I ruined everything before it even began. Heesun leaned forward, slowly, until their foreheads touched. For you, he whispered, voice breaking for the first time. I would forgive. This is 1,000 times more. Her breath hissed. I don't deserve you, she whispered. I know, he said gently, but I want you anyway. He pressed her face into his neck, careful of his wound, sobbing quietly as if afraid sound itself might shatter what little peace they had left. He wrapped one arm around her, holding her like she was the only thing anchoring him to the world. She helped him into a clean shirt, her movements soft now, tender. She tucked him into bed as if he were not a feared man with blood on his hands, but someone fragile, someone loved. As she turned to leave the bedside, he catch her wrist. Don't go, he said. She froze. I won't, she whispered. Not tonight, not ever. He rested his forehead against her palm, closing his eyes. Outside the world still burned. Inside that room, two broken people choose each other anyway. He didn't let go of her wrist. Not because he was afraid she'd leave. He knew she would not. But because touching her grounded him. Because her pulse beneath his thumb reminded him she was real. That this was not some cruel dream, stitched together by betrayal and blood. Come here, he murmured. Ryan hesitated only a second before sitting beside him on the bed. The mattress dipped under her weight, and for a moment they just sat there, knees brushing, breath uneven. I heard everything, Heesung said quietly. Her shoulders stiffened. In the garden, he continued. Your mother, the plan, the reason. She lowered his gaze, shame traveling up her spine. Then, why didn't you stop me sooner? Because he answered honestly, I wanted to hear you say it yourself. Silence stretched between them. I followed you thinking I'd protect you, he admitted. Turns out I needed protection from the truth. She bit her lip hard enough to taste blood. You should hate me. He lifted her chin gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. There was pain there, deep, unresolved, but no hurt. My father made enemies, he said slowly. I inherited them without choosing. But you, his voice softened. You choose me every day. After that first year, her tears spilled again. I was dying. You stayed, he corrected, even when you could have run, even when killing me would have been easier. She shook her head. I pulled the trigger and changed it, he said firmly. And the last second that matters. Her hand slid to his injured shoulder instinctively. Does it hurt? He smiled faintly. Not as much as losing you would. She broke then, leaning into him, arms wrapping around his torso carefully. He hissed quietly at the pressure but held her tighter anyway, burying his face in her hair. I am scared, she whispered against his chest. Of your world, of mine, of what his baby will inherit. He kissed the top of her head, lingering. Then we'll be scared together, he said. We will burn this world down if I have to, but you and our child will never pay for my father's sins. She pulled back slightly, searching his face. You mean that? For you, he said, brushing his thumb under her eye. I mean everything. She rested her forehead against his again, eyes closing.